How are you guys doing?
Good, good. You guys been enjoying the con?
Awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nice. You guys done anything great yet? See any cool exhibits?
As I said the other one, have you guys been to the Capcom booth?
Oh yes, I have been to the Capcom
Did you
booth
do
for
the
Resident
VR?
Evil 7. Yeah. I was
Unbelievable,
like,
right?
yeah. Oh
How
my gosh.
intense is that?
That kitchen demo was
Yes,
so cool.
yes, yeah. Scary as hell.
Yeah.
Have you
I
seen
loved
this?
it.
I've seen the booth, I haven't been inside.
You
It's
gotta go.
amazing.
I mean, I'm not kidding. Hyperbole aside, look, I love Capcom, obviously, right? We have some of their IP, but it is so intense when that knife comes like that.
Yeah.
You know it's VR, but you almost think the whole thing off and go.
I was still freaked out about it. I was like, hi, hey, what are you doing? Oh, get that away from me, please. No,
Yeah.
no.
I saw it 2 years ago when Sony was demoing their VR, I mean their headset. And I knew it. I saw it again this time, and I know the part where she's gonna come like that, and I almost just closed my eyes. And I'm like, there's no movie that even knocks me sideways horror-wise. So honestly, if you get a chance, Capcom, it'll scare the Jesus out of you.
Yeah, no, I'm not usually one for like VR or horror games, but I was genuinely very much intrigued and really baffled by how great it was. Like, I was very... It made me feel very confident about VR, you know, what Capcom's doing with that. And just...
And that's 2 years old.
Yeah, and just having that be Resident Evil and that big reveal this year and being like, we're completely doing it over again. It's like, wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
But on to Dead Rising,
Yes,
you know, the franchise is 10 years old now, so how really did you guys approach doing this, you know, sequel to the original movie that came out a couple of years back?
Yeah, look, the idea when this is Tim Carter, my business partner, Tomas Harlan, great director Pat. When we first looked at the IP itself, Tim comes from a very, very strong video game background, and we sat down and we played Dead Rising. You know, through and through. At that point in time, 1, 2, and off the record. Thought about the IP and thought about how we could best apply that to live action. What's really cool about the world of Dead Rising, you know, not the entire world has become zombified. A virus breaks out, quarantine wall goes up, and outside that wall, you're just living your life as normal. And it really allowed for some awesome storytelling in a very contained environment. And you can think, I always say, think of Night of the Living Dead meets 24, right? The storyline is really cool because you got a ticking time bomb. You have 72 hours effectively to figure out how to get the humans out of there, what's going on with the conspiracy, why the government won't let you out, before they firebomb the whole place. From a storytelling perspective, that offers up a lot of opportunities. So Tim and I played it. Tim's a genius writer in all this. And we started thinking about where we wanted to go in the story. What seemed really cool for us was, could we take it to TV? Because there's the way the game works, there's an outbreak and another outbreak, and it always gets resolved. That could be a season to a season to a season, and have different outbreaks for different reasons in different locations. And then Tim went to work on that. And we picked up from there on the story set.
Yeah, sure. What I forgot your question, to be honest. But that was a good long introduction.
We're approaching this.
Yeah. You know, I think that you know, sort of picking up where Tomas left off, you know, obviously when coming off the first movie, which we loved, and we had a great time making it, you know, we knew that we wanted to evolve it into like a 10 by 1 hour, 12 by 1 hour cable TV property, and there were a number of things that we were going to need to do in order to set it up for that. So when we sort of started developing the story, it was with the idea of putting into bedrock some of the elements that we knew were going to drive that. So, for instance, that there are these cities now that are sort of walled off and are a contained thing, but as Tomas said, the rest of the world is all still alive and kind of just going about its life as normal. And then you could have kind of adventure stories of going back into it and exploring themes of corporate corruption and the malfeasance on the part of the army and looking at the way that the press covers things and the relationship between the press and the government, and a lot of these things that are actually sort of hot topics today in the United States, right? So we wanted to set it up as like a model for what that could be, and then how we might be able to take that forward into a longer sort of, you know, cable sort of narrative franchise.
It's worth noting, so, and the idea was after the first show to try to pick up from there and go straight into the series. And so it was great that Crackle, when we partnered with them, wanted to do this in 90 minutes. It offers up a lot of opportunities as a feature and different modes of distribution. But we had a budget effectively for a TV series, right? So that brings about a lot of challenges. When the first one came out, it was pretty successful. And we said, okay, we want to do another 90-minute feature. We try to see these as bookends, if you will. The first film was really created as kind of a love letter for the fans, right? If you're a fan of the world, even though it's not lockstep with a Dead Rising game, you know immediately when you see Zombrex and you see the combo weapons and you see the quarantine wall, you know it's your world. The second film, we decided to try to broaden to a wider audience, to bring in more action this time, so that we not only had the fans who love the game, but we could show the general zombie fan, if you will, why they could be invested in this world even if they didn't know the game. Just like how many people went to see the movie Tomb Raider who did not know it was a game, right? And Pat was really critical of that. So Pat has a long history in TV, having created a series successfully run for several years, and in seeking out a director who could work with us on a tight budget in 90 minutes, right? A real run and gun production, but bring the chops and say, look, this is how you create something that will then veer into TV. Tim and I know how to do it at a feature level easily, but how do you create new storylines within the construct of the game already that will then lead into the possibility of a series that can be replicated season after season? And as I said, we gave him a very unenviable task. Here, take a 1-hour TV budget, but make 90 minutes out of it. Make it really cool and a lot of action, and make sure that we got a reason to go to season 2, season 3, season 4.
And by the way, let's cut some heads in half and put CG walls in the background and do some things that you simply don't do on that kind of budget.
Well, and you don't get a chance to direct zombie movies every day of your life, so it was a thrill, and although an enviable task, I was thrilled to have the task of trying to figure it out, And so after watching the first movie and hearing, the dynamics of how that went and what everybody wanted from the second movie, we sat down and talked long and hard about how to expand the audience, how to make this movie a little more serious, maybe, and take an approach a little more along the lines of that totally 28 Days Later, World War Z kind of vibe, where we're lacking in humor, but we're amping up the action and amping up the tension a little bit. And then how do you do that in 18 days on a 1-hour TV budget, essentially? And the goal is ultimately to please the fans. First and foremost, you got to make the fans happy. You got to get everybody involved in it. So that if your grandmother's going to watch it or your kids are going to watch it or something, I wouldn't recommend the kids. But they got to love the characters. You got to figure out where to start with the characters. Let's start with the story. But the Dead Rising world, they want to see zombies. They want to kill zombies. So let's try and create a number of great sequences that allow the audience to get that pleasure out of the zombie killing machine that is Dead Rising, and put Chase Carter in as much trouble as we can, introduce as many new characters as we can, so everybody's a little uncomfortable about who is and who we can trust, and you're a little more unsure about the world. We tried to put it on its side a little bit that way, and then we built just great action sequences around it. So, and we did a tough one here because we didn't really have much of a script to start with. I came on at the end of November. We shot at the beginning of February. We worked with the great Tim Ferriss, who helped craft an outline. Tim and I walked around and sort of said, well, in our world too, because you're limited on time, you're limited on money, you know the story you want to tell. Then we found the locations, and then we kind of crafted the scenes to fit the locations, and said, Mr. Ferriss, here's your task. And Michael Ferriss, I said Tim Ferriss, another buddy of mine, I got his name wrong there, forgive me, but Michael Ferriss, he came back with a great script, and then we reworked it into the new year a little bit. We went to camera, a month later. But we had a lot of time to craft the action because we were waiting for a lot of the work to come in. So we spent a lot of December working with the stunt team, the coordinators, figuring out Chase will get from A to B here, Chase will accomplish this here, which is a luxury you don't always get of, lots of rehearsal time with stunts, so you can figure out those action sequences. And I think they paid off really well.
And I think one other thing, that we really wanted was to put him in greater peril than in the first movie. Because in the first movie, we had a lot of fun with like Bonzo the Clown and things like that. But at the same time, we probably could have just run around Bonzo, right? And so we wanted to put him in situations where you really thought he was going to die. And that, how on earth is he getting out of this? And I think that...
think about budget constraints, right? If we got all the money in the world, then you can put 10,000 zombies in an open field and he's going to fight his way through. But how do you create a scenario where 3 zombies really become something menacing? Very tight, contained, claustrophobic spaces. And the ultimate goal of these shows effectively was, again, first one is, here's something to the fans. Second one is, here's something for the larger action. And then can we bring these together into a series where you've got the humor side in TV series, because you're going to have 10 hours, 12 hours to tell the story, and you can have the high action side. That was the goal of this. So for the people who are looking at the second one going, where's the humor? For the people with the first one saying, where's all the action? This is how it all comes together as we move to series.
Can you talk about actually shooting that one pivotal action scene?
Scene right at the end?
Yes.
So that was a fantastic scene, and Tim and I talked about that very early on. That was, one of those things when I took the job, I said, listen, I'd like to do something, at least one sequence that feels like a very first player video game feel to it. And we were inspired by a number of scenes and images and different things that had been done that were well outside our budget range. And we worked with our production designer, our props guys, our stunt team to come up with, okay, here's our set. We knew that we had this lab sequence at the end, and we knew that, okay, what props can we put in there that can become the instant weapons, which is the art of Dead Rising, the combo weapon thing, and making anything a weapon. So we built, okay, we've got this weapon, that weapon, we've got this setting. And then we worked with our stunt coordinator, great Kamani Ray Smith, who was fantastic, and I've done a number of years with him on Continuum. He was my stunt guy there, and so we had a great rapport, and we talked long and hard about what I wanted to accomplish and the key moments that I wanted to see. And then Kamani goes off with his guys and starts working things, and comes back and shows me, and he says, what about this? And they go out and work a few more things, and come back and shoot it on a little camera like that. So what about, and he'll edit it together and say something like this. But I wanted it to look seamless. I wanted it to look like one shot. There's, I think, 16 or 18 cuts in that sequence. And we shot it in 10 hours, which is kind of insane.
That would normally take probably the entire shooting schedule and budget of our full movie to make that sequence.
So we had figured it all out in advance, talked about it endlessly, and then we shot it on a Tuesday, and on the Saturday was our day off. We had Kamani, 8 stunt guys, Jesse Metcalf, and myself and my camera operator go and work for 8 hours on a Saturday to figure the sequence out shot by shot. And we obviously don't do it as violent as we do it on the day, everything's being thrown into pads and stuff, but just to make sure that it'll work and stitch together. And then on the day, you just hold your breath and hope you can get it in time and on budget, because it's a big expense for us to go overtime with that many stunt guys.
Yeah.
They're expensive. It's a big expense to go overtime at all with crew on these things when your budget's so tight. But we had a very tight schedule to pull it off, and we're really proud of what happened there. I mean, 'cause it's 10 hours to pull that off was insane. And nobody got hurt. Everyone had a lot of laughs doing it. And it worked out really well, and it edited perfectly. Actually, the camera assistant on the day would film the video playback monitor and edit it for us, so we could see it was coming together no matter what. And it worked out really well. There it is on an iPhone, and then 4 days later, I'm watching on the editor's monitor, and it cut quickly. I mean, they had that sequence cut. It was so easy for them to cut because here it is. But it worked well. And it was then visual effects did a fantastic job of adding endless blood and squirts and gore everywhere, and it was a true homage to the game. It was true. Okay, let's at least do something that feels like a full video game experience, without going that full first-person video perspective for a whole movie, which we now know is tough to pull off. But for 2.5 minutes or something, it sure is a lot of fun.
It will look seamless.
Thank you very much. And it's funny, we played it to a lot of different music. We tried all kinds of different songs underneath it, but it changed the tone all of a sudden. At first, we tried Ramones under it, we tried AC/DC underneath it, and we tried all kinds of things because we thought it was fun. But at that point of the film, tonally it fell off to go to a piece of needle drop and have something squirt like that. So we thought, well, let's just leave it and let the sound effects play out, and it worked.
Which is fortunate, because we could never afford an AC/DC song.
I was going to pay for it myself.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I wish I'd said that. I say that after the fact. How gracious of you.
3 or 4 VFX shots we could go back and get in.
Thanks, you guys.
Oh, thank you guys.
Anything else?
Have a great call.
Thank you so much.